handpicking some of them. I don't know what the justification is. So when people move to accept this, I'm actually stunned that you would move to accept this with one person omitted when we've had no discussion around why some and not all, and what is the justification for the selection of any of these administrators. And I agree with that question. My question would be the same. What's the rush? Some things need to be thought through carefully. Also in the superintendent's contract, my question is around the concept that it states in the extension of term of employment in paragraph 2 that the superintendent shall notify the board in writing of the provisions of this paragraph and the termination date of this agreement no later than January 1st, that the superintendent shall notify the board in writing that the board, it says the board may decide annually whether to enter into an agreement with the superintendent and to extend the term of his employment. Annually, the board may decide, but the superintendent needs to notify the board in writing of the provision of this paragraph. I've received no notification that this is of interest, or that this is something that he wants to remind us of. So as far as I'm concerned, we have an issue around paragraph 2. And again, that's something that had the board been allowed the time to sit and have an adult conversation about what these contracts consist of. In this contract, there's a $25,000 moving fee still included. Is the superintendent going to be moving again? I mean, we're putting out a contract that's just simply kind of let's shuffle out the same one. And I think that, that is why boards sit together and discuss and make these educated decisions. I'm going to ask that simple question: why the rush, and why just select some?
Just speak to a couple of speakers that spoke from the audience, and I think some of the audience members raised good questions. I've seen this in a couple of emails recently around the issue of raises, and there are no raises in the contract. The language has not changed. The contract extension would merely be an extension of the end date of the contract, not extending additional dollars to the contract. It's a little troubling and disconcerting to me that people that have been around the district and been around education for probably most of their adult life would at this point step to the microphone and indicate that there is no rationale for extending contracts at this time. I think this is probably the first time since I've been on the Board of Education that the contracts of our assistant superintendents or our superintendent have gotten down to where they're about 1 year in length. And I think for those that are around superintendents and are around school districts, they do understand kind of how job searches and trying to determine which school district you're going to work for, what position you're going to occupy in that school district, and trying to make those determinations. There's kind of a schedule to try to make some decisions during the summer months, or make decisions so that they can be implemented during the summer months, so that you're in your next assignment or in a new assignment during the summer break, so that you're preparing to go back to work on whatever your new assignment's going to be at the beginning of the next school year. If we don't extend contracts, if we don't extend these contracts right now, what we're telling our senior staff is we're not sure what your status is going to be come this time next year, and their interpretation of that is likely to be one and all that they had probably better start to look for other opportunities. And so by not making the decision, if the rationale to not make the decision is that that decision needs to be held over and guarded for future board that may or may not be seated. We may be forcing this board, this current seated board, to make a decision about who the future leaders are going to be of this district. In other words, if we don't extend these contracts, my expectation as a board member would be that we immediately start the process to search for a superintendent, because our superintendent and senior staff are likely to be looking for